Warning: this podcast contains spoilers for the first 150 chapters of the Fire Force manga and spoilers for the Soul Eater manga. Viewer discretion is advised. Welcome everyone. It's KL Reviews back again with another Fire Force discussion roundtable with two new people about the new anime series which has been announced. But before we continue, let's introduce our lovely guests. Whichever one of you talks first, I guess.
Yeah, so my name's Goo. I'm just an avid fan of Fire Force, really. Been a fan since day one. Yeah, that's about it for now.
And he has had the unfortunate situation of having me message him about this for about 2 years. Just this series.
Yeah. Well.
We say
I wouldn't say unfortunate. Yeah.
And this is the first getting this together. First time I've ever heard his voice.
Yeah.
Very striking.
Cool.
He could do this for a living if he wanted to. And let's not forget we have another guest with us.
Hi, my name is Shobutai08. For anyone who didn't hear about me, well, I'm a Fire Force active reader and 100% fan of Ohkubo's works, and I read Fire Force in English, Japanese, and French, and I translate every Fire Force related news on Twitter and Discord.
Yeah, and we all thank you for that.
Thank you.
Okay, so let's just this will be about the Fire Force, the manga, the anime, but we'll also try and talk a lot about Ohkubo's other work if we can.
Yeah.
And how he's changed, what he does, and what we all think of it. And I'm not going to put much effort into editing this. If we make a mistake, we'll live with it. I'm not delaying this by another 9 months. I think I should apologize again to the 3 people I let down with that one. So, for people who know about Soul Eater but don't know about Fire Force, it's basically a steampunk hybrid of Bleach, demon hunting, and a Full Metal Alchemist conspiracy, but with all of the weird trappings and style and writing tricks of Soul Eater and Firefighter stuff. And the anime has been announced, and it will be made by David Productions, who are famous for their JoJo's Bizarre Adventure stuff, and I've only seen 3 episodes of that, so does anyone have anything to say about that first and foremost?
Well, first of all, I was expecting personally that the announcement was coming up for the 3rd anniversary serialization. It was supposed to happen in late September. I was hoping every passing week that we got the next preview for the announcement, and I already made a notification that this year that the Fire Force official Twitter made an announcement that there will be future announcements coming. So I was 99% sure that it was about the anime upcoming, but the more that time is passing, the more I was thinking that it was delayed for reasons. Right. But I was very very curious why it wasn't announced at that time, because it would have been the perfect time actually for announcing the anime. But I think they had more series to advertise. They had Go Tobo no Hanayome and Domekano also to advertise for the upcoming anime coming next year actually. So yeah, I'm quite happy that they announced the anime was 2 weeks ago actually.
Right.
Yeah. And and I think that one of the Twitter users found the domain name on the internet, and for the 4chan forums that they brought the website that wasn't made that wasn't actually announced at that time. Actually,
there was a lot of really crazy detective work done with that.
Yes.
Sorry, Show, but there's a weird background noise when you're talking. It might just be for me, but
maybe it's because of my earphones mic, maybe.
Yeah, maybe. It worked fine for a second, but then I hate to interrupt you, but just hang on. We'll just pause the recording and see if that's actually coming through on that, or if it's just my headphones.
Yeah, no worries.
Okay, so that's actually not a problem on the recording. It's just in my headphones. That's my problem.
Right.
So I'll just be hearing like tiny footsteps for the rest of this. But never mind. Okay, so sorry for interrupting. Go. Do you mind?
No worries. Yeah. So yeah, the lead up to the anime announcement was, as Shobutai put it, a very long one. Nearly every week, just waiting for that preview to be like, oh, anime announcement next week or announcement next week, but didn't get that. Took us 3 years to finally get here, but we got here.
And we've got this great bit of illustrative art,
concept
art, I guess.
Honestly,
looks great.
I love it. It's amazing.
It's basically just the first and second chapters, which are chapter 0 and chapter 1.
Basically.
Yeah, that's actually the 152 if you come to 01. Yes.
Yeah. Seeing the visual, like, it just makes you so hyped. Like, oh man, can't wait. But
it made me realize and sort of remember that the Fire Force uniforms are meant to glow in the dark.
Yeah, exactly. The blue stripes.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, and they look look like that in the poster.
Yeah, and there could be some really interesting stuff done with that.
Yeah,
because quite a few of these arcs take place at night.
Yes, exactly. That was my first thought about the key visual, because when you read the original manga, you got only black and white backgrounds, but you can't figure if it's nighttime or daytime. And when you see the key visual, it's already dark time with a little of flames going all around the town. And yes, it's quite. It's quite unused actually to see the Tokyo Empire going all on fire on dark time, but yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So, does anyone have anything to say about David Productions, just as a animation house?
I mean, I'd never heard of them prior to this. I have watched a few episodes of JoJo, and obviously I know they get JoJo's style pretty much perfectly down. And from what people have said. Like, David Productions is a good studio, so at the moment all I can do is put my faith into them and just hope that it comes out well.
Yeah, the JoJo thing the thing about their JoJo work is that there's an obvious love for that series in everything they've done from what I've seen.
Yeah,
and I think a problem for Fire Force might be that it doesn't have that type of love from them, or that they might be working on JoJo at the same time.
But that's a question. Yes, if they continue to work on JoJo's and Fire Force, or they go on standby for JoJo's, and then the team goes on Fire Force in the meantime. Yes.
Yeah. So I wouldn't be shocked if part 5 we're on right now, aren't we? Ends. Then Fire Force starts late next year, and then after it's over, they do part 6.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. So, how long do you think the anime is going to be, or what do you want the anime to be like? How do you want it to come out, basically?
I think maybe everyone just talked about the length of the anime, but yes, in my personal point of view, I would have preferred maybe a seasonal anime, like about maybe 24, 26 episodes.
I agree.
Yes, that goes before the latest introduction in the Company 8. Yeah, and will be a great cliffhanger for the next season to for the Vulcan's introduction and the Never battle. And yes, that will be a pretty good cut for the next season. Yes.
I agree.
At least it's a great place to end on. It's also the end of the first year of the manga as well.
Yes, exactly. Yes, that was the actually when Niche was introduced. Yes, it was around the first anniversary of the series. Yes.
Yeah.
And it's also one of those mystery things that Fire Force does well, in which we know he's doing something, but the characters don't.
No.
Except sort of.
Yes, is acting double actually. You have Joker, and that is part of it was part of the Holy Soul temple actually. It was with the shadows of the Holy Soul, and you have in the same time Lish that works for Aijima. Yes, it's a combination of two great powers that makes Tokyo Empire moving. Actually, you got the Aijima that makes the
all the technology.
Yes, all the technology that in Tokyo with the Amaterasu, and you've got the Holy Soul temple that is the religious aspect of Tokyo with yes.
So I think we all agree, like, the first 6 volumes is a good place to go through, because that also introduces Benimaru, who's very popular.
Yeah, he is very popular.
So yes, yeah.
It's good for marketing as well.
I'm not quite surprised, actually. Is among the fans, he is a number 1 most popular character in the series. Yeah.
He's very high up. Well, it's also one of those things where you're not surprised, in that he's not tall, but handsome, dark, brooding.
Yeah,
he has all the trappings of this guy. He's powerful as well, very powerful.
It's powerful, but it doesn't show any emotions when he's in a serious situation. For example,
he's very dull.
Yes.
He's very grumpy.
Yes,
I guess.
Yes, a little bit. That's what the readers like about these characters. They're serious in a situation, but they're serious in their impressions. So yes, that's what the readers likes about Benimaru.
And Benimaru also does have like confidence issues, kind of, in his opening arc that he gets over. You get a nice little storyline with him.
He has issues being the 7th commander, where he thinks that Conroe should replace him.
Yeah, Conroe.
Yeah.
I have so much difficulty with Conroe's name because I just want to say Kurono.
I was thinking.
And Kurono is another character now.
Yeah.
And
Kurono. Yeah, there's a lot of like similarities. Like I remember at first when Tamaki was introduced, everyone was getting confused between Tamaki and Maki, and they look similar.
Yeah. That was quite confusing in the first place. Yes, Tamaki and Maki are very look-alike, but when you see that Tamaki is introducing herself with her own name, and at the same time people think, hey, isn't that not Maki? Why is she calling herself Tamaki? Yeah, but in the same time, our character is very different than Maki. Maki is very female character that she likes.
Very feminine,
very feminine. Yes, she likes cute things. She's expecting a prince to marry or something.
Yeah.
Yes, and Tamaki is she's not very boyish, but she likes to pick fights with Shinra. If
she's a lot more aggressive and fiery.
Yeah.
How did each of you come across Atsushi Ohkubo's work? May as well start with this one. How did you first get into it, and where did you go from there?
I remember. Well, I was introduced with Soul Eater. I think I can't remember exactly, but I'm pretty sure saw a GIF on Tumblr of that
Right.
scene. You know that scene where Def the Kid is fighting against that red um
The Fisher
thing
guy.
on the train, and he does this
Yeah.
like sick like flip kick. Oh man, I
Oh,
remember it.
Fisher
Yeah.
King, yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he does like this like a cool like kick, and I was like, wow, what is that? And then I just
Mhm.
I think I started watching anime from there
Yeah.
a couple of years ago, more like 5 years ago or something, and then yeah, fell in love. Read the manga, bought all the volumes. Yeah,
Yeah.
no,
Def the Kid gets into some really interesting places in that. It's like
yeah, he's just an interesting character, isn't he? Like,
yeah. It's
it's
haunted
very
Viking ghost ship, runaway train, and basically Chernobyl.
yeah,
I don't
yeah,
think his villains are like the most dynamic or interesting, but he always goes somewhere interesting.
yeah,
Um,
yeah,
Mm. Well, for me, I was introduced with Ohkubo's works very before Solitaire first came out. I was actually in junior school, and I had a bookstore just a few miles away from there. We had the Shonen Gangan magazine. That's where the Solitaire was published, but just before that, Ohkubo had his first series called Be Ichi. I don't know if anyone remembers that series.
I
It's not,
bought it.
yeah, yeah. It wasn't very hyped at the moment, but I was reading Full Metal in the same time because Full Metal has that huge success back then, and in the same time I was reading another manga just popped in, and I saw, hey, what's that manga? It looks like Goria's drawing is on manga or something. And I looked at the other. It's called Atsushi Ohkubo. Oh, okay. Maybe I'll give it a try. And I just read about. It was around the end of the series, yes, with Shotaro and Emine, and I thought, wow, that looks pretty cool. Yeah, maybe I should give it a try. And yes, I just that's how Ohkubo just popped in my eye with his visuals. Actually, I kind of liked it. Yeah.
Yeah, he's got a very
yeah,
interesting style.
Yeah.
Always has.
yeah.
Well, and back then, yes, because if you compare it with Fire Force, yes, you can see, oh, it was doing some actually.
Yeah, his
Yeah,
style has changed.
it is amazing how
dramatically.
much he's improved.
Yes, yes, that's incredible. Yes.
As for me, I first saw bits of Soul Eater's opening in AMVs, probably.
Okay.
I thought Soul was a demon because he looked creepy,
Yeah.
and I thought the whole thing looked really spooky because I was that type of coward in 2008. It's basically the same reaction I had to the Feel Good Inc. music video when my cousin showed it to me on an iPod. Remember when iPods were new?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
A long time ago.
We never bought an iPod.
Yeah. But basically, then I watched the anime, then I got into the manga later on, and then I got into Soul Eater Not, which happened, and we can talk about it. I won't judge anyone who wants to talk about it.
Yeah, but
I might not encourage it, but
never talk about Sword to Not with Sorry fans. They're all arguing with a Sword to Not going with the story to main plot. Actually, they always separate the not plot with the story plot. Yes, it's always like that.
Yeah. I've never seen the anime for Soul Eater Not because Maka's design horrifies me. It just makes me uncomfortable.
Yeah.
To be honest, I've read. Actually, you know what? I haven't read the manga. I watched the anime and I loved it. To be fair, I tried reading the manga and I just couldn't get into it. I prefer the anime a lot more.
Yeah, Soul Eater Not has like a weird thing where it's trying to be a slice of life thing in its own little corner of things, but it's also trying to inform the main series. But you get cool stuff like Liz and Patty, being awful
Yeah.
people.
Little cameras.
Yeah, they're all dressed like maids, and yes, you're expecting to see them as punk girls actually, and they all with maid cosplays. Hey, but that's not the Lisa and Betsy that I remember.
Yeah. Also, we learn that is in fact enforced by Spirit being friends with the cafe owner.
Oh, the Death
I
Bucks
think.
Cafe.
Yeah.
Mm.
I've got that Death Books art color page on my wall right now because Soul Eater is just in America. And then back to me again because this is all about me now. Back in 2015, I got off the train in France, and Fire Force was announced on Anime News Network. Started Fire Force, then went back to Beachy last year, and here we are. So, we talked about art. Let's just keep talking about the art. What do you think of Ohkubo's art throughout the years, I guess, and designs and
what I like the most about Ohkubo's art, it's not necessarily the creepy style with for example, you got I don't think if you can see it, but you've got a color page for in the Soul Eater that with before the battle on the moon, we've got Maka, you got Excalibur with all the spiky nose going up actually. Yeah,
I can't see that, but I kind of think I know what you're talking about.
That's maybe around chapter 90 or something. I can't remember. Yes, but I like both styles actually. I like this one, but I like also when he draws cute designs actually. For like in the Soul Eater Knot, you've got some fluffy characters with rabbits and bats and something, and I like that design actually. It's childish, but it's also pretty cool. Yeah, I like this style.
Yeah, he's very good with designs. He does reuse a lot of design pieces, not necessarily like character faces, but there are costumes that he likes.
Yeah, you like cosplaying characters, yes.
Yeah. You know, Abon's mask is now Akitaru's mask.
Yes. Oh yeah, definitely.
Krona is he's not Eminem, but he's named after him. The villain from Beachy is that they dyed his hair pink. That's Krona now, and they gave him the maid sleeves.
I'm pretty sure doesn't. Yeah, he has like a spiral eye. Someone has a spiral eye in Beachy, and obviously Joker's got like a spiral eye.
And you've got Apple Shinoda that is the 100 years ago form of mosquitoes.
Yeah, and who's the serial killer? I always want to say his name's No Spin, but I think it's No Fix.
No Fix, yes.
Yeah, he is very similar to Giriko in like general outfit. At least in my eyes. He's also a similar type of character, but he's amazing, so I don't mind. Go if you don't know, No Fix is just this random serial killer in Beachy, and he's Ohkubo does crazy. I think No Fix might be the craziest person he's ever drawn.
Wow. Yeah, I need to check that out. That manga. I need to finish it.
Yeah, it's not great, but he is giddy as a schoolgirl in some pages, and he is drawn like he is a shoujo girl at some points. He's just so creepy and evil, and he's also one of like a really well realized psychopath, in that I completely believe that he could be that crazy.
Wow.
He doesn't get to do much because the series ends sharpish, like it's very rushed ending.
Right.
But
it's short though, isn't it? It's only 4 volumes.
Yeah, it's 4. It's 4 volumes. It's monthly. They sort of like close out the arc they were doing, and then they do a time skip thing, which actually is like a really cool. Sets up a lot of really cool stuff that will never happen. Yeah. First of all, big thing I want to talk about. How do you think he's handled going from being a monthly creator to being a weekly?
I was going to say that.
Well,
I
I
mean,
think yes. Go ahead.
okay. No, I was gonna say. I was gonna ask actually what you guys prefer, if you prefer if you did a monthly or a weekly, how you think so. Um, yeah, I'm happy to hear your answer. Sure.
Well, I prefer personally to do a weekly series than a monthly series, because I think it likes to draw actually when you do a monthly manga series, you've got a month actually to think about the plot, think about your storyboard, and do the rough sketch, and finally get the manuscript. But you think about that for at least 3 weeks actually, and the rest you all what you do is just resting or sleeping or do video games or something, and the rest you just have to do at least 30-40 pages for the manuscript. And I think the weekly pace does fit Ohkubo's style actually, because the pace for the story is going pretty good actually. Maybe that he likes to draw faster. Well, that's my personal opinion about that. But yes, I think maybe doing a weekly series does fit his art style moving uh, for moving the plot forward, and keeping the reader's attention for every issues that's going in the magazine. Yes, that does fit for him actually. For monthly series, it's very difficult to keep the reader's intention if you don't have an interesting story to tell.
Yeah. I think he still sort of writes and draws like he's writing 40 chapter. Sorry, not 40 chapter, 40-page chapters.
Yeah.
You get like the setup, and then you get the fight, and there's always like a mid-point cliffhanger, and sometimes that works really well, and it works really well in volumes because you move through it really, really quickly.
Yeah.
But then sometimes you get things where a cliffhanger isn't actually much of a cliffhanger. Or like immediately unsold, and I think, and that can annoy people because they had to wait a week for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's not a problem for waiting a week instead of waiting a month, actually.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd say in terms of art style, I think this is my opinion, but Soul Eaters, or late, I'm talking like late Soul Eater, and Fire Force, the art's very, very different. So in terms of art, I think I prefer Soul Eaters. I think there's just a lot more detail, because I don't know if you guys have noticed, but Ohkubo will he'll save specific moments where he'll add shading to a character's face if he's like saying something really important, and then for the rest of the chapter it'll just be it's still good. I still love the art. Yeah, but it's sort of more like 2D, simple. Which kind of emphasizes when he does the shading. It kind of makes that better because we don't see that as often. But
there is he also starts missing out details weekly. The thing everyone points out is, or at least I point out, is characters' eyes often disappear in panels.
A lot. Yeah,
because he needs to draw a lot of stuff, so he just kind of. And there's also stuff where the patches on the uniforms can sometimes disappear, and there's the fight with Setsuo where Shinra has a bandage over his eyebrow, and if you look, you can see in some panels it's there, and other panels it's not.
Yeah.
And if he was doing monthly, I think he'd probably be able to adjust that. Yeah.
Sure.
I also think his art has kind of toned down. He's toned a lot down in terms of design, and also how weird he's going to get with that, from Soul Eater to Fire Force. And, a lot more characters with kind of simpler faces and simpler hair, most of them with black hair, and I think that's to make everyone look legitimately Japanese, rather than they're all in America and from all over the world type thing. Except for all the foreigners. it's so weird to have a shonen manga that actually addresses immigration in some way, and I don't know I don't know if he's making a point about it, but whatever. It's an interesting thing to set up. Like, Arthur is probably from England, or at least his parents were.
Yeah.
Ogun, probably something similar with Ogun as well.
I imagine Vulcan
I think
too.
also, yeah,
that red hair.
Vulcan. Vulcan's surname is Joseph, and that weirds me.
Oh yeah, exactly. Yeah, Joseph.
Yeah.
It reminds me of either if you watch Hellsing.
I didn't watch that.
I didn't.
Well, there's a character in there called Ceres Victoria, and I'm convinced what happened is that the author got confused about where surnames go in English. So I think her name is meant to be Victoria Ceres, but it's Ceres Victoria.
Wow.
Okay.
And I don't know if that's the case, and I can't prove it because I don't know the author personally, obviously. But I think I think it might be either like a stylistic thing or a mistake, or it's just something weird. If you think this character's meant to be named Victoria, then it's a little bit odd. But I think him simplifying or making simpler designs is also why he's gone so far with the eyes. Because if you read the final arc of Soul Eater, he's doing a lot of really weird stuff with people's eyeballs. And now it's almost constant that in every arc of Fire Force there will be one character who has really strange eyes.
Yeah, that's true.
That's
I think that's just become his unique style now. He's just everyone knows that when you see like that type of eye, it's probably Ohkubo.
Shinra's eyes are glowing. And so was Sho and Inca now sometimes.
She's got that weird is it? I'm not even sure. It's just weird. I think it's something to do with money.
It's supposed to be like a star or a snowflake, but I don't know.
It's strange. But Rekka had that star.
That's the most iconic high-looking character with a star on his eye. It reminds me a little of Black Star, actually, in Soul Eater.
I love the bit where Shinra kicks him really hard in the side of the head, and you can see that the pupil has fallen out of his eye.
Oh, yeah, I know. Yeah. I love that.
That happens towards the end of Soul Eater as well, when Ashura gets hit by the hammer.
Really?
Yeah, for like a panel, there's just cartoon. And there's also the weird thing where Krona's so incensed that her Krona pupil is stretching out over the outside of where the eye socket is.
Wow.
And there's a lot of weird stuff there. And then you get to Kurono, and I have no idea what's going on with that man's face.
Man, Kurono, I don't think he smiled once, has he? He's just a weird guy. I think the relationship between him and Nataku is just... I found the chapter, the last one of the last ones where Kurono stops him. I found that very quiet. I empathize with Nataku because everyone's kind of forcing their opinions onto him, and I think that kind of relates to modern Japanese schooling and stuff. Exactly, yeah. And so I kind of liked that. I kind of liked how Ohkubo portrayed that, and just in the strangest way, like Kurono is telling him to purposefully be weak so I can torment you, and he's like, "Thank you so much." I just found that quite funny, but also good.
But they do have the out where a character points out 99% of people will think that this is really unhealthy and weird. Because it probably is. Kurono probably only works in that situation because he is the right type of psychotic.
He lives for it.
It creates some kind of balance between the weakest and the strongest between Nataku and Kurono. And I was thinking actually in the first moment I saw Kurono telling Nataku to stay weak so he can torment him. I was thinking actually isn't that a critic for the regular shonen scheme in the industry, because usually in a shonen manga, you have the character that he wants to go stronger, so he can protect everyone. Yes, and you have Kurono, that he is the strongest, but he's telling the one who wants to be stronger to not to stay weaker, so he can torment him. And that's the way of Ohkubo for his own way of telling his own characters, because it likes to creating tormenting characters like Kurono, actually.
Yeah. Another example of that is Rekka Hoshimaya in the Company 1 arc. Mm-hmm. He is basically just a shonen hero character, but his goal is evil. And
we don't really see that until the mid kind of end arc, although it's hinted very early on.
Yeah, that he likes violence and hurting people. Because if you take out when he's talking to Shinra about how he won't ever move back, stop, or go backwards, if you give that speech to Naruto, it's probably fine. But it's coming from the mouth of a serial killer who mainly targets children. And it's just really uncomfortable. And Ohkubo will flip things like that, and I think it's very interesting. Probably the best one is Ashura in Soul Eater. The god of fear is a massive coward.
Yeah.
And the basic the plot of Soul Eater is kind of about stopping him. But for the most part, it's about other villains who are a lot more active in what they want to do.
Yeah, Ashura is a long-term villain.
Yeah, there's always a presence that he's making this stuff happen, but none of it's intentional. And I'm pretty sure Shinigami sums it up as he's just trying to work up the nerve to be an actual threat to the world right now. And that's and he also, the introduction to his character is a really terrifying crawling back into his own skin and then having what is basically a panic attack because nothing he just did is fun.
That in the anime, that was honestly frightful. That smile, I still remember it.
Yeah, and he kind of has to stretch things back so that his face is actually outside of his skin.
Man, that was some weird stuff.
Yeah, and he gets his fingernails back somehow. So, in terms of characters, you might have noticed that Ohkubo does a lot of people who are really weird and have a wacky personality trait that is kind of their whole personality. And I think a lot of his characters rest on, is that gimmick really interesting, and does he do interesting stuff with it, or is it a hindrance? So, Def the Kid is an obsessive-compulsive nutcase.
Right.
But over time, we managed to come up with really cool stuff with that as the embodiment of law and order and stuff.
I guess, Arthur has that weird fantasy that genuinely makes him stronger when he fantasizes about. I wouldn't call that a disorder. Maybe it is. Schizophrenia.
I don't know what's wrong with Arthur.
Yeah, he's just weird. But even Nataku, hasn't he got what's it called? Stress disorder or something?
Post-traumatic stress?
Yeah, that.
Maybe. He's hallucinating a dead person.
Rekka.
That is talking to him. And something I like about it is he never talks back to Rekka. Because normally in shows like this, you talk to the dead person. Instead, he just has him breathing down his neck, and he knows he's not real.
Yeah.
But he's too scared of the thing inside his head to do anything.
Exactly.
I think also that there's a thing in there which is sometimes character gimmicks get in the way. The big one, and Go's talked about this with me, with other people recently, is Tamaki.
Yeah,
is
hugely. Of recent, especially.
I had a whole thing on the last discussion I did, which was I like Tamaki when she gets to do stuff, but her lucky literature lure is a running joke I don't care for, and I think it sort of stops him from doing things with her. Because she's great in the arc with China.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the only time actually you don't see a lucky letter.
Yeah, right.
Yes.
Yeah. There's also the whole most of the fight with Rekka. It's not there, but it comes in towards the end, and I actually think it works there as a way of breaking up the tension.
Yeah,
but...
so do I. I love that whole fight. Just everything was perfect.
Yeah, that's another reason that series needs to go on for at least more than 16 episodes because you want to get that in.
I think it's important for just to go back to the anime. I think it's important that the first season or first core, whatever, at least goes up to around chapter 30, 31, where it's revealed. Well, basically where Rekka dies, and it's revealed that the White Hoods exist, and that they're the real perpetrators, the real villains. Because I think that's the real turning point of the manga. That's when I was like, okay, wow, this
you can't. Yeah, you can't end it on the Hibana fight.
No,
I'm sorry, you can't.
No one's gonna be interested.
You can't expect a serious tone on the Fire Force right at the beginning. You get to build the setting of the series with the characters and the background. But that takes some time actually. Even if it takes maybe 23 chapters. You don't have to just see Fire Force just by looking at the first 20 chapters until the versus Company 5 arc. That's ridiculous. You just have to let it at least that maybe the first four volumes actually, and then you know if you can keep reading Fire Force or not. That's like Solitaire. When you watch the introduction of 3, that's the first moment that the plot is getting interesting with an immortal werewolf, and that's how it goes. Actually, you don't have to see at least maybe 10 or 20 chapters. You have to let it go a little bit, and then you see if it's interesting to keep reading or not.
Now, I will say that any other mangaka who was not successful for 13 years before that would have probably been cancelled around 20 chapters in.
Yeah, I was thinking that.
If you're in Jump, yes, probably.
Yeah. So it's a little unfair in my mind that Ohkubo got to sort of drop the ball that early on, and still keep going. But on the other hand, he was successful for 13 years. You kind of have to let him go.
Yeah, do his thing,
I guess.
No, you can't.
So, something about Ohkubo's work that I've noticed is that when you go back to Beachy, everyone's a lunatic. No one is serious. No one's... I think that might be the single dumbest idiot hero I have seen in anything. Maybe Shotaro is a mix of Black Star with a little bit of Shinra, I guess. Yes.
Yeah.
He's kind of idiot, but in the same time he wants to do his good deed every day. Actually, so yeah.
I think
I like that.
Go on.
Sorry, what was that? Go ahead.
No, sorry. Okay, I was just gonna say I think that's where you said everyone's a lunatic in BEG. I think that's probably like the biggest contrast between Fire Force and anything else Ohkubo's done. I just think that Fire Force is a much more simplistic kind of. It's more structured compared to Soul Eater. Soul Eater just kind of always felt couldn't really tell what's happening. Place. Yeah, like crazy. But I like that. It was very creative and just open. But Fire Force is very structured, simple, kind of like that. But I like to think about it in the sense that Soul Eater's the moon and Fire Force is the sun. Like they're opposites. I feel like they're very opposite very different manga.
There's a whole thing where Ohkubo's said in an interview, like, use the sun and the moon, just like you did, where he's kind of zigging where he's zagged before. And the thing I wanted to make about everyone in Beachy's crazy. Soul Eater, there's a straight man main character, well, woman, and Soul, kind of. They flip a role depending on the scene, where there are more level-headed people surrounded by crazy people, and then you get to Fire Force, where most of the cast is sensible or able to keep themselves under control, but there are some really out there people.
Yeah, for sure.
Company 8 feel like they could be real people with real jobs, except for Arthur, maybe.
I don't know if you've seen one of the interviews that I translated, but for Ohkubo, Arthur is nothing but a puppy for the company 8. Actually, he's not even a family member. If you put the pet side of it.
I love that. I do like the narration at the end of the Company 1 arc, which is, we don't know where Arthur is. We have to file a missing persons report. And then the next arc, he just shows up again.
He just shows up.
I think Akitoru does refer to him as act like he is a dog. And what was I going to say? Also, something about Ohkubo's characters that I think is really interesting in comparison to a lot of shonen writers is that he does a lot of women who are evil.
Yeah.
And
he does.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing, but I don't even know if it's a thing at all. But a lot of writers don't make most of the major players in their world women and evil. Like we start, and Fire Force kind of flipped that in the beginning, where the only woman we had who was an antagonist, well, after Hibana, was Arrow.
Yeah.
And now we've kind of come full circle, in which Charon is the only man in that organization right now. Except for maybe Giovanni, but we don't know where he is.
And I guess if you want to count Yona, but we don't really know. He could be like
he might not
genderless.
count as a person.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not really sure what he is.
Yeah. So sort of like a storytelling thing that's in Beachy, and later Soul Eater is he likes villains fighting each other or working against each other. And this is part where we start talking about what we think of his storytelling, I guess. So what do you think of how he writes, plots everything, and pays stuff off, and builds a world or paces things, just in general? Go ahead.
I feel like in terms of Fire Force, I think at the beginning, probably like from chapter 0 to chapters 40, I'd say it was very very fast paced. I think each arc was about 10 chapters. I'm not sure if that's like a common thing in manga, but it just felt kind of it didn't feel too fast. I was able to keep up, but it felt kind of fast. But I think post chapter 100, I think it's been a lot more. I think we've gotten a bit more detail, a bit more attention and time into each arc, because they've lasted a bit longer, and I think it's paid off. To be fair, I think each recent arc that we've gotten, I think, has been very, very good in terms of the longevity of the manga and the story. Especially the fifth pillar arc. I think that was very, very good.
Yeah, I liked the fifth pillar arc because a problem I have with the Fire Force is that the Infernals kind of stopped being important for 7 volumes because we're dealing with a cult. I think the fifth pillar arc does a good job of balancing the cult with the Infernals. By having Shinra deal with Charon while everyone else is dealing with the fact the city is on fire.
Exactly. It kind of brought back all of the companies, because we get moments where like we don't see a whole company for a long time, but that arc was good because it brought everyone back.
Sho, do you have anything to add to that?
Well, I can say that in the background that it works pretty well. That each arc in the series may go pretty fast for the readers, but if you read just in one shot, it might not feel as fast as it might look in the first place. Maybe the fast pacing rhythm looks like it's not well constructed. There's a little more to do. I can say an example that you always have, for example, in the fifth pillar arc and the sixth pillar arc with Arthur and Hamea, they're always facing each other. They don't actually fight just a single time, you're always thinking, hey, I want to see that fight. It might be good, but I honestly think that Ohkubo is getting that idea in his mind for the future, and it doesn't think that it needs to be seen in the beginning. So that's why the fast pace of each arc it's not a problem actually. He always says that long running arcs actually it's always a pain in the ass, if I can say his words, because it's always like that with for keeping the reader's attention for every details in a plot. But for Ohkubo, it doesn't make any sense, because what's important is the plot itself, not the detail. The details can come in when the time is right. It doesn't need to come during a battle. Yeah, if I can take an example, you can see the Bleach fighting scenes. Actually, it's you have always a flashback in the middle of a fight that goes for about a half of a chapter, and you have another flashback 2 or 3 chapters later, and that's very useless for Ohkubo. He always needs to go to the point for his own plot he has in mind, and actually when mangaka start his plot when he's starting the series, it doesn't have actually the plot in advance. That it, for example, he didn't think about writing about maybe a six pillar arc or the Chinese Peninsula arc. I was thinking, what? He's going outside of Tokyo. It was a great idea, but who didn't think about that in the first place? So when you write a story, you have to think of the basics, but little by little, you have other ideas coming in your mind. Say, hey, I want to these characters go outside of Tokyo to see what the world looks like and make the plot moving forward.
Yeah. I think that's an interesting way of writing. I do think I have some problems with it in that, sometimes details don't matter, but sometimes I think Ohkubo explains them in the wrong places. The big one for me is Benimaru is a proto-nationalist. And then we get an arc about Benimaru, and then after he's out of the story basically for a bit, we get a explanation of what proto-nationalism is from Leashed.
Yeah.
And I think introducing details like that earlier on would have made that arc a bit more interesting. I kind of like the idea that no one talks about the end of the world that happened, because everyone's just used to it.
That's quite strange actually, because we know that the great cataclysm that happened 250 years ago, that's where the world was plunged into flames and turned into an inferno. But we know for at least for now that the evangelist came from the great cataclysm, and she's probably not human at all actually, because you have the black lady in the Chinese Shintai, that's protecting the oasis. And
who is about human. She talks about being human, and
Yeah, she was
about
once
the
human.
and the evangelist is like a not human creature.
They're supposed to come from the Adola. That looks like the hell for regular people. And every people who saw the Adola world, they have lost something important, like Burns or Joker. They lost their half of their eyesight.
Eyes.
Yes.
Yeah. I think there's also what's it? I was gonna say the Adola Black Lady. Oh yeah. Yeah, we talked about a lot of how Solita does a lot of stuff the exact opposite the Fire Force did. I've got some written down here. Fair-haired American schoolgirl with a messy relationship with her dad. Is the main character of Solita. Shinra is a dark-haired Japanese boy, kind of. Tokyo Empire isn't Japan, but it may as well be. And his whole relationship with his mother is perfectly ideal, but also tragic. And order is good in Soul Eater. In Fire Force, there's corruption. Ashura is named after a religious icon in Asian religions. I think Shintoism, I think Buddhism as well. He wears black and red. The evangelist is very obviously some kind of Christian inspired thing. Without eyes, which is the exact opposite of Ashura's too many eyes, and she's also wearing white instead of black. I also don't know if he's going to say anything about Christianity in that. I don't know if Ohkubo's the kind of writer who has a deeper message behind anything. I also did I looked this up, the Netherworld arc, which takes place in the Tokyo Underground, which is an amazing concept. I love that idea that the train stations become forbidden areas because of their religion. That train station the white-clad knights are hiding in is a train station in real-life Tokyo that is right next to a church. Like an actual Catholic church.
Yeah.
It's a really weird detail that I like, but I don't know if it means anything. So, do you have any... Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, obviously religion is like it's like a key, well, it's becoming more important as the story goes on in Fire Force. It's just, I think I think as the story goes on, as we've seen recently with Iris, it's kind of becoming, at the moment, it's like it's all anyone cares about, like, the sun god and praying and all of this. But as the story goes on and it's revealed the preacher's the one who actually founded the church and the religion, it's kind of becoming more like you disbelieve it, you don't really believe it as much, and it's just a bit like what do we do from here, sort of thing. So
I think Fire Force is interesting because it's a little bit more realistic than some Exorcism action series are, in that you don't know if the religion actually works. But there's not a confirmed afterlife in this universe. And the Infernals might just have a disease rather than actually being demons. And that's why Akitaru and Shinra and Arthur treat it like a bad thing to do that you have to do. And I think the idea of Iris being there is a really interesting one, but I think it needed to be explored earlier on.
Yeah, definitely.
A bit more detail. Alright, everyone, sorry about that. Minor, massive technical problems. I think we were talking about religion in Fire Force and how Iris's role needed to be bigger earlier on for me. And Sho, you were saying that you think she's going to be more important going forward.
Yeah, for me, Iris is definitely the key for the religion, because she's not actually a nun. She actually is linked for the first pillar that is inside Tokyo's Amaterasu. She also looks like the first pillar. And when you see
Yes.
in the latest chapter that Shinra and Iris talking about Iris's torment about the Olisar temple and their faith in the church. You have a glimpse of in Shinra's look when she's looking at Iris. You've got a panel of the first pillar, and you can see in that moment that she's gonna play maybe in the future an important role for the story.
That's also something I have to give credit for Ohkubo for, is even though I don't think he pays off everything particularly well or sets it up particularly well, in some cases, he does set stuff up earlier on. The first pillar is introduced as being very similar to Iris, and then Haig in Company 4 asks Shinra if what is appearing to him is actually taking the form of somebody he cares about already.
Yeah.
And Iris cries when she realizes that somebody is inside the Amaterasu generator. So that might just be because she's a nun and she's a good person, or it could be a deeper familial connection or something. Because something else about Ohkubo's storytelling that I think deserves credit is that he almost always sets up what we're going to do after the current arc in the arc just before it. So with Benimaru, so we have the meeting of the Fire Force captains.
Yeah.
We see Giovanni and Benimaru. We do an arc about Benimaru, and then we do an arc about Giovanni. But in that arc, we also set up Flail as a member of Company 3. And then he becomes important.
He does that
on.
a lot, actually. You know, in the Chinese Peninsula. Sorry, go on.
Chinese Peninsula. We set up the 8 pillars, and then we go to China, and then you say your thing.
Oh yeah, nice. So he set up the manuscripts, the secret manuscripts that the Holy Soul Temple were keeping. It was mentioned, and then in the next arc with Joker and Benimaru, like they went and like got the real ones that existed.
Yeah, the real truth. Yeah. Again, that's also something I wish was explained earlier on.
Yeah.
Like, what's the religion actually teaching? Exactly. Another thing he does with that is he sets up that Leashed is going to do something. Then he goes into Joker, and then with the Hajime arc, it's kind of about Leashed doing things to keep himself alive. Sort of. And yeah, it's a very interesting, because a lot of modern shonen has shorter arcs that then build on each other and keep going. And I like that a few years ago I was really not confident in what Ohkubo was going to pay off everything. Nowadays I think I'm more confident that he's going to get everything will be tied up in the end, except for maybe where the giant monsters that chase them in China come from, and the 2 henchmen who look like Hinawa and Akitaru now.
And
I don't know if those
that black horse in the peninsula.
Yeah, that's the other one. That I think that's also a part of my problem with the Chinese Peninsula arc, is that he sets up a really interesting thing about like infernal animals and a creepy black hooded figure, and then we get there, and some of these arcs have had a problem where the villains aren't particularly strong. And I don't want to just call him Tempura, because I think his name is Tempura, but it's something else like that.
Tempeh, yes.
It's Tempeh.
Yeah.
Tempeh, yeah. Tempeh,
Tempura.
I kind of like as having a sentient infernal again, because, again, we set that up earlier. We set Setsuo much earlier, and then we paid it off again.
Yeah.
And kind of with Shinra's mother.
Yeah.
I also, side note, I think it's really weird that Shinra's mother hasn't been named, and that she and Sho haven't been mentioned that often since they disappeared. I think like the main what's the main characters? I think Sho being missing is kind of a big deal that the story doesn't seem to get how much of a big deal it is.
Yeah, we haven't seen him for a long time.
Because, and Karan, when he does like his big speech, which is fantastic, talks about all the people he's going to protect, but he doesn't mention Sho. And I don't know if that means that Sho's out of the picture now. In some way. I highly doubt we'll never see him manipulate time again.
Yeah. It could be one of those situations where, because now that obviously he knows, or he's been like hinted what the truth is about his past, the White Hoods are kind of
kept him under mind control.
Yeah, like training him.
Exactly. Or something.
You see how Maya kind of manipulating him again just after Shinra fought him at the end of the Neverworld arc, and it's a bit hard actually. Will we see him again manipulated again, or is he completely as if just remember? Did he just remember his past, but he's been caught by White Holes?
Yeah, is he Shinra's brother again, or is he the preacher's
or the evangelist's
I won't
be surprised that he doesn't remember him again. I won't be surprised.
Yeah, I agree.
Right.
I mean, it's easy for Haramea to
just
control him, basically.
Physically control him. Haramea has like such a strong introduction as a character.
She's huge.
I love her. Yeah. I feel like she's one of the characters that brings a sort of energy to the manga, sort of like Rekka. Because whenever she shows up,
she is one of the crazy ones.
If she wasn't the member of White Oz, maybe I would have thought that they're not a really bad group, actually.
But she goes from stoic to childlike and cruel, and then you get Charon, who is exactly the same way, but often in the opposite extreme to whatever she's going through.
They're a perfect match.
You see that in the Fifth Pillar arc, where he's getting into a fight and really enjoying it, and she's kind of sensible and philosophical, and then they go right back to being the other way around, especially in the Sixth Pillar arc, where she makes everything worse for everyone, and Charon has to fix it for everyone.
Great moment.
Also, that's another thing that got paid off: the giant infernals.
Yeah.
It took 2 years, but we finally got an explanation for what those are.
Two big payoffs in that arc, actually. Nitaku, because obviously where the bug had it worked to him, and we never really got anything from then on. But that was a huge payoff. Seeing Nitaku again, for sure.
Yeah, we see the Rekka is really happy about this, and then we later learn why. And it makes sense that that's the reason why, because a pillar is so important to this cult. What else was I going to say? Yeah, so I'm a lot more confident in Ohkubo's ability to pay stuff off now than I was a few years ago, particularly with stuff like Joker. When Joker shows up, originally he's very mysterious and you don't know what he's going to do, and then he disappears for quite a long time, and then he comes back, and then he disappears, and you don't really know what he's trying to do. Then we get an arc that is basically, what is Joker trying to do? And again, I think that arc suffers from quite a weak villain, but I do think it paid off one of the big mysteries. We know what side Joker's on.
Yeah. I feel like he's on his own side, sort of thing. But
yeah, kind of.
Yeah.
Again, it's like weird sort of, and I think that this is probably why he was put next to Benimaru, is that weird nationalism thing he has. Where as somebody born in the Tokyo Empire, he has a right to know what's going on in the Tokyo Empire.
His main goal is to know the truth about the world, actually.
Yeah. And we sort of, early on we say a lot about justice and heroism, and we kind of stop that eventually. But Joker's very much a justice is truth, and so the truth is justice. So everyone should know the truth. It's kind of anarchist, I guess. No, not really. I don't know if you call that. I don't know what. I don't know enough about moral philosophies to tell you exactly. Oh, Benimaru and Joker are objectivist. I don't know, but like Joker is whatever I do is justified as long as I get to the truth, and the truth justifies itself, and I don't care what happens to everyone else after that. But people need to know. They deserve the right to know that our country is sustained by human sacrifice.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is one of those dark secrets that I kind of like the president of Hajime in the little time we got with him.
Yeah, very strange character again.
I don't know if he's corrupt and, just focused on doing his job, or if he's actually deep down a good person.
I think he just cares about the profit of Hajime. And I think in the same sense that Joker just wants to find the truth, I think the president just will do any means to keep Amaterasu alive. And there's something kind of endearing about the bit he has with Vulcan where he realizes that there could be a generator without human sacrifice. And I don't know if that's because that's a better PR thing, or if it's a genuine, I don't want anyone else to suffer the way that woman is clearly suffering in Amaterasu. Just while we're here, and we've been doing a lot of saying nice things about this guy we all quite clearly like, do you have any complaints about Fire Force or Soul Eater or Beachy, or Soul Eater not? If you just want to put them out there now, you can do that. Go ahead, Shar.
Well, if I can make my cons on Fire Force, in a character side, I think for my personally, I think Inca deserves a better development, because we know that she likes danger. She likes to get herself involved in dangerous situations, and she just wants to she decided to join the White Hoods to live these dangerous situations. But she only cares about that. Actually, she doesn't have any more developments, and I want her to get more involved in the story, because we don't know what she's more capable of. Instead of predicting the attacks with the start and goal line, she's seeing in the
first arc.
Yes, exactly. Yes. Also, what can I say? Generally, I really don't enjoy maybe small minor characters that don't have any major development. For example, for enemies, because you want to get to know more about them. For example, if you put the puppet girl in the six pillar arc that manipulates dominions against Maki, she you know that she's manipulating dominions. She can even creating 100 of the dominions, and even more, a giant dominion to counter Maki. But you don't know more about them. You know just that she's in Aijima, and that's it. You can have a little backstory of them.
Another really weird thing about the puppeteer, particularly her, and I think this is the biggest weakness of the Hajime arc. Beyond, I don't know if Chrono makes sense in the end. From if I read through the whole thing with official translations, maybe his philosophy is a lot more clear, but it's kind of all over the place in some places. but the puppeteer just kind of disappears.
Yes,
We see her tracing
yes, she's just
Harume.
she's just popping in for fighting against Maki, and when she's when it's done, that's it. You don't see her again.
And she starts to focus on Harume a lot more because she feels personally slighted. But then Harume, I don't know how she gets away. We see the rest sort of teleport, and I guess Harume could also be lifted out the same way, but we don't see it happen. So I don't know if Harume just runs away for half an hour while this crazy puppet woman is chasing her, or if she just also gets a phone call like Kurono did and told to just come back to base. Is everyone still there?
Yeah. Just listening.
Okay, good. All right, that just went quiet for a second. I don't know.
I don't think we even got a name for the puppeteer, which is quite sad.
No.
Yeah, at least the name, yes.
Yeah, that sucks.
That's actually, if I'm not mistaken, that's the second time that Ohkubo doesn't give a name for a minor character. If you remember in Sawyer, that Maka and the Sparto squad goes into the Book of Haibon to save a kid from Noah. And just once if I remember, it was the Envy chapter or something. You have the little girl that torments Maka about a trust for soul.
Yeah.
Yes.
She doesn't.
Yeah, she's tormenting her.
She doesn't get a name.
Yeah, she doesn't even get a name. Actually, you see her for at least 3-4 chapters, but you don't even have a name, and you see her again in the final chapter.
Yeah.
And Maka's mother not only never shows up, never gets a canonical name either.
Yeah.
And Shinra's mother, Neva, we don't know if he has a father. That doesn't probably matter. I kind of weirded out by the fact Shinra's mother doesn't get named by anyone. And the first pillar doesn't have a name yet. And neither does the Black Lady, but I feel like that's intentional. The Evangelist, especially.
That's not a problem. She doesn't have a name yet because we know that at least she looks like Iris, but she's also tied to the Amaterasu, and that makes part of the mysteries surrounding her. And if you see the Japanese description in the volumes, it's not named. You have her name as first pillar, but she's named also as the mysterious girl. Actually, she's not named that look like Iris or something.
Right.
Yeah, and that's part of the mystery surrounding Amaterasu, Iris, and the White Hoods, and that makes exciting for that.
Yeah, and that's why I get like some of them, like the Black Lady and the First Pillar and the Evangelist are all kind of meant to be old and not human, sort of, and they have roles that don't require names. But I'm really weirded out by Shinra's mother because she's really important.
Yeah, she's brought up a lot
and
in the story.
And I wouldn't mind it if, like, in 2 chapters, Shinra's walking away from a meeting and someone says, I don't know, what's the Japanese girl name?
Himiko.
Right, and it's like, you know, and Shinra's walking away from a meeting, annoyed at someone, and says, I'll tell you where Himiko is if you do what I tell you, and then Shinra stops and realizes that that's his mother. And then, because, just for the dramatic moment, and also Himiko Kusakabe, or Sakio, or whatever, whatever the girl from The Ring is called. Not Samara, the other one. Yeah, but basically, some of these characters don't get names, and that annoys me. Go, do you have any problems that you just want to bring up?
To be honest, like, obviously this is like my favorite manga, but that's not to say it doesn't have its issues. Definitely, we could do with a lot more. I think Shobutai touched on this, but we could do with a lot more attention to the villains in terms of, like, they don't just show up when it's time to fight, but we get to see how they act behind the scenes, and stuff of like show. And I'm sure that will come, but it would be nice to get that every now and again. Yeah, what else?
There's Tamaki, which you've talked about with me.
Yeah, she's a problem. Well, I feel like
I think she's a good character. She just needs to be given stuff to do.
the right things. Yeah,
I think you can't expect anything from her. I mean, for the fighting moments, because Ohkubo can't help himself for getting her in awkward situations. That's what Japanese readers ask. If you read the 4chan, they always want. I want more sexy Tamaki, and I want more sexy Iris. Maybe they're mentioning the first pillar. I don't know, but they always think I want more sexy Tamaki. I want more sexy Iris. That's what readers talk about, and you can't. You can't get.
It's what Hiromashima talked about in that interview that he did with Ohkubo, where he just basically says, "Hey, can Tamaki join Company 8?" And Okubo's response is, "Yeah, sure."
He just does it. That's the thing, though. Yeah, Tamaki was wasn't she first in the character poll? That was done ages ago.
She was second, actually.
Was she second?
Second after Shinra.
Oh, okay.
And Maki was third.
Yeah, but I reckon if that character poll was done in the West over here, she wouldn't rank.
It would be very
different. Exactly. She would have been very far behind. Yes.
Exactly. And I'm quite worried about that.
Again,
but when
I like her, but I predict a lot of people. You can see a lot of people don't.
Yeah, a lot of people,
or at least don't like the way she's treated.
Yeah.
And I know this is probably going to sound horrible. But I think the problem with there's a phone ringing, but I'm not going to get it. The problem with it is it seems the running gag about her ending up in embarrassing situations feels kind of mean.
I mean,
for the Western audience, it looks like
kind of unnecessary.
That, yes. But for Japanese audience, that's the regular way of writing cute girls in the awkward situations. Yeah. Yes, that's more a part. That is more a political debate. Yes, about Japan being sexless, but in the same time, you have young boys that goes to in internet buying goodies with cute girls, and they never approach real girls.
Let's not go too far into the commentary on Japanese culture.
That's why I mentioned it was more a social issue. Yes.
Yeah, there is a very clear break between what Western readers like and what Japanese readers like, and I kind of can't blame Ohkubo for playing into the audience that pays him week by week, to a degree.
Yeah.
I think he could do more interesting things with her because she has like a strong sense of justice, but isn't strong enough to actually do much of anything about it. But she clearly wants to improve. The Rekka stuff between her and Rekka is legitimately good. I do like it, and I think if you just built on that, she would be great.
You can feel the pain for inner trust broken with Rekka.
Yeah, and when she realizes that he needs to be stopped, she is fully on board with stopping him, and also fully on board for being punished for helping him at all.
I thought that was a good decision.
Which is eventually revealed to be she gets sent off to Company 8 because I guess Burns thinks that's a punishment in itself. Because I get the impression Burns doesn't like Akitaro that much, or is implied to not trust him.
I remember that.
And that might go somewhere.
I remember
that. It's in Volume 2 where after they have like a part where they walk past each other.
Yeah, I remember that.
And they say something, and it's a bit more of a... I don't know if it's because Akitaro doesn't know who he can trust, or if it's because Burns doesn't trust him either. And that might be going towards something where the firefighters are actually the cause of the problem on some level. Because Burns... Or it could just be Burns is running his own investigation into things and he doesn't want anyone else bothering him.
Yeah, it could just be like too serious, very... The highest rank of their brigades, very serious
Yeah.
tension moment.
Meanwhile, you get Hibana, who just breaks into Akitora's office and has his desk carried down 2 flights of stairs.
She just
so he'll have to bring it back.
does whatever she wants.
She's awful, and it's amazing.
Yeah, we need to. That's what I mean. We need to see more. I feel like we go a very long time without seeing these characters, but although it's very good when we see them again. It's like, oh yeah, can't wait to see what they do.
Yeah, I think Ohkubo's runs the problem where his main cast is a little too big for what he wants to do, and he has a lot of side characters, and it can come... Like, we don't really have a female lead in Fire Force, which is interesting. We have Iris, Maki, Tamaki as, girls in the main cast, but you wouldn't say, like, oh, like, that's the Sakura or the Orihime or Rukia or the Nami, where you can say, that is the most important woman in the entire series. That might actually be Arrow at this point, because she won't die. Well, there are a lot of important women. Side note, I don't know how Arrow's still alive. I like that she is, because I like her stoic attitude, but I was convinced she was disintegrated from the waist up.
Yeah, me too, actually.
In that really great... in that fantastic fight in the Netherworld. And while we're here... While we've still got time, let's just talk about what's your favorite fights in the series.
I only have 2 in my. Got Shinra fighting Rekka, because that was the first biggest fight at the moment. Yes, you got Shinra fighting Rekka, and Rekka is revealing some plot keys with. The Adula burst, turning the plot, turning the Earth into a sun. Yes, that was pretty cool and pretty interesting to read. And the second best was definitely Shinra versus Sho. It was intense. You got Shinra. He tries to catch Sho that because he can control time because it's not in the same universe, according to his words. And actually,
there is a bunch of stuff in that fight that I don't know.
Actually, if you know the theory of relativity, you can get with that. But if you don't know, it's completely a mess.
Nonsense.
It's a great fight, like, visually, because all of the stuff, I forgot to mention this, but all the stuff about Sho, like, he is in his own universe, and you can see that because he's standing in a panel by himself, and the first time Shinra lands a hit on him, he is physically stepping into that panel, and it looks like he cuts Shinra with the panel border, and all of the weird collage stuff. There's a lot of amazing art stuff done with Sho, particularly in the Netherworld. It's really worth mentioning. And boy, I hope that audio issue is not a real issue and it's just me being crazy for 2 hours.
I can hear you guys fine.
Oh, that has actually been...
Yeah, we can hear you.
Something I wanted to... I just thought about, actually. Do you remember when Sho, in the Vulcan's workshop arc, where Sho arrived, and then I think he was about to, like, hit someone, and then Joker shows up, and they both do this, like, weird, like, morphing sort of...
it's like Sho's upper body is leaping forward while his legs are sort of...
Yeah, and Joker has that, like, weird, like, it's like a pet. I don't even know what it is. It's like this weird black thing.
Like, you mean the bit where he comes in like a snake?
I don't know what that is.
Like, it's his eye and his smile, and it kind of looks like his hair.
I hope that gets explained at some point. I'm not really sure.
There's a bunch of weird stuff with Joker. Like, I don't know if he has super speed or if he has some other trick, because he's keeping up with separate universe.
I think it might have something to do with the Adora link, maybe.
Maybe. Joker. There's also a minor thing that I don't know if it's a problem or a part of the universe, or if it's a thing that will be explained or isn't important. But there are some people who can have like varied powers with their flames. Like Shinra can only generate fire from his feet, and Arthur can only seemingly generate plasma. But you get like Hibana, who can make fire from her fingertips, Joker, who lights a cigarette with his fire powers, and I don't know if he's a second or third generation.
I think he's third.
I
think.
Yeah, and what's his face? The sixth pillar, in the final time we see him, he's lighting fires from his fingertips, and all three of those people can make fire as sort of a ranged thing. But I also don't know if, like, so if Shinra was bored, could he light his fingers on fire?
Yeah, I guess it's not been really clearly explained, has it?
There's a lot of stuff in Fire Force that I kind of like isn't particularly explained. I like that the Adola is really mysterious, and we only know what Shinra can piece together for himself. And there's, like, I'm really impressed that there's no, like, visual for what the Adola link is. Like, there's no, like, line connecting person A to person B. It's just in some cases, a religious experience.
Yeah, or like a pure flame. It's like the purest flame there is.
And the rules are kind of inconsistent, but I think that's the
I
point.
think that's what Sho said. He said that it's like it changes, or it's just not one thing. Pretty sure he said that.
Yeah, and the you can get blessings from higher beings, but you can also steal blessings. Like it's Jacob's ladder. Not Jacob's ladder. No, whatever. The guy from the Bible who fights that angel and steals his brother's blessing. Never mind. Not religious either. Religion and politics not part of this. But yeah, like Shinra can kind of figure it out, and then you get the really horrifying one, which is Burns and Joker literally get sent to another world for like 5 seconds, and Shinra just hallucinates. They actually go there, and it's really, really scary. And like the only reason they think they haven't gone mad is because Joker is physically holding something from them. Joker's whole like flashback stuff is actually really interesting. It's shockingly brutal.
I think that came in at the right time. Obviously, Joker being the mysterious character he is, and then
and there is still like a mystery about him in that we don't know if his parents were anyone special, or if he was just an orphan, or if he was supposed to go to like a monastery, and they just took him. And I like that not everything he knows and does is related to Shinra. Like, he knows about the house fire because he just happened to be there that day. And I like that Burns, like, his experiences are independent of Shinra, and I like it because Fire Force sometimes does have that thing where the main characters are responsible for everything. I like that not everything everyone else is doing is solely about them. Joker is doing his own thing because he can't use Company 8 right now. But it's not because he he kind of likes some of them. He likes Shinra well enough to keep him alive. Does he? Do you think Joker knows about the pillars?
I think yes. Well, I think if licked, however you want to call it.
Don't worry about Victor's surname. Don't worry, it's German.
I think as long as he knows, then I think he's informing Joker and behind the scenes, probably.
Because I'm just thinking about this, like, I get the feeling if Joker really felt like he needed to stop the Evangelist right now, he probably would have killed Shinra when he had the chance.
Yeah, he would have taken some action.
Or maybe he wouldn't, because he kind of believes in heroism and goodness, or maybe he needs one of the pillars for himself.
Well, that's the thing, because the whole idea is that the pillars can be used for either destruction or creation. So I think that's going to be a very interesting aspect in the final arc. Maybe like what's the usage of the pillars going to be? Is it going to be for the bad or the good?
Also, like, side note, it's gotta be awful to be Iris in this, all of, like, that stuff where not only is your country supported by human sacrifice, your god is real, but it's evil, kind of. Or your church is just a product of the devil. Whatever the evangelist is at this point.
Yeah, that's actually an interesting opinion, because I always see the evangelist and the white clads as a mirror in our society with the religion aspects. You've got the Muslims. You've got the ones that are in the society, but the other ones who works for terrorism, and that's a good mirror. That's a mirror. I don't know if it's intended or something, but that's a good element.
Yeah, there are different branches of this like main religion.
Yeah.
And it gets kind of messier when you realize that one of the branches is right about because their god is directly manipulating them. Also, like, while we're here, I have no idea how Charon does everything he does while he can't see.
Yeah.
But
he has been blindfolded for 10 years.
I don't think any of them can see. Like, they're all blindfolded. They've got no...
Well, Haumea and Charon are all blind, actually.
Yeah.
But apparently they are blind because they saw too much. They saw too much the sun, or maybe the other. I don't remember.
Yeah, I don't know if they're actually blind or if it's supposed to be a precaution against being blind against the preacher, or what. But it is like a. Sometimes I just forget that he is blindfolded.
Yeah.
You just get
that's quite interesting, actually, because that same, like, obviously they're blindfolded, but they also live underground. I don't know if you can hear my Hoover, by the way. It's kind of noisy out there, so sorry if you can hear that.
Yeah, don't worry. There's someone cheering about football downstairs as well. No, not for you, for me. What's it? I don't know if he's just Daredevil at this point. Daredevil who can blow things up and not be disoriented by it. I think I've run out of things to say. Do you have any expectations of where the series is going in the future, or what you think the anime is going to do for the popularity, or something you think the anime is going to change, or you want it to change, or?
I've got a few listed.
Okay. Go ahead.
So obviously we've got 8 pillars in total. So we've got 2 more left to find out. I think one pillar will be female and the other one will be male. And I think either. So we've had 2 more pillars introduced, and both of them, like, one of them's gone to the Whitehoods, and the other's neutral. But I think the next two, will both go to the 8th, or one goes to the 8th and one goes to the Whitehoods. One sec.
Yeah. Okay. I think that could. I think also possible. One of them has to go to the 8th.
At least one.
Because I like Ohkubo's way of writing. Like, you don't completely lose, you kind of win something, and if you win, you don't always get everything. Like, no main character in Ohkubo's writing gets a total 100% victory. They always lose something, but they also don't lose. But if they lose, they also get something out of it in return.
Exactly.
But I think that you need to have them win one of the pillars, because at some point, and maybe Joker gets the last one. That could be it.
It's going to be interesting. That the last pillar could sort of be like a fight, like, who can get there first, and like at the same time, the preacher's going to use all 8 to do whatever they want, basically. So that could be like one of the final moments. It's like the last pillar.
Yeah.
Who can get there first?
Another thing might be that the army, because we haven't dealt with them yet.
We just...
The army might realize, wait, you need these 8 people could end the world. If we just kill the last one, everything's fine. That might actually be the big conflict, is there is the government or the establishment or whatever, the main body of the world, the church, whatever, want to get rid of the pillars now before they become a problem later. So you've got kind of a similar thing to the Inca situation, but instead of just being abducted, it's to be killed. And the Fire Force have to keep them alive, and that might put them on the run. It might not.
I feel like Inca probably gonna die. I feel like she's if it's anyone, it can.
I think a lot of Atsushi Ohkubo also had, we mentioned the fact he writes female villains. He also shows them die quite horribly. So I think Inca is gonna bite off more than she can chew.
Yeah,
and I wouldn't be shocked if a bunch of the White Hoods get sent to the Adola. Like, they don't get killed, but they do get sent to hell with their god, if that's where the story goes.
I'm pretty sure eventually, if it's possible, because we're not sure yet, but I'm pretty sure that the 8th or whoever will go there and potentially fight against the preacher there, because we saw this huge, when Joker and Burns had their Adola link, we saw this huge castle, like, it looked like bones or something. Like, it was crazy. I'm sure we'll see that again. I'd love to see that again. That was really cool. Yeah.
Anything else that you've got written down?
Well, I think my expectations for the future, at least, we are introducing the military of Tokyo Empire, but there's also one other element that we haven't seen yet. It's Tokyo Defense Agency, and that's the name of that I want to know more about it, because you know that the Tokyo Defense Agency formed the special fire force companies with collaboration with the Tokyo Holy Solar Temple, with the Aijima and Tokyo Army, and the Tokyo Defense Agency is a basic of the fire force, and I think. It's a good element to it's a good moment to know more about the agency. We have seen at least the chairman of the Tokyo Defense Agency discussing with Akitaru right after the Company 6 arc, and also about the pillars, I don't think they need to be shown right away, because we know that the pillars need to be other posters. They need to have the pure flame, and maybe they can be characters that we've seen earlier, but we didn't notice in the first place, or maybe. There will be new characters that are not involved yet in a story. Yeah. I can expect maybe in the future with the military, or even with the Tokyo Defense Agency, there would be another pillar. And my greatest hope is that we can get all the companies, but except for the free, that we can have a great fight against the evangelist. Yeah, that would be a very phenomenal fight. We got all the companies, maybe Aijima with all the weapons they can build. That would be pretty cool.
Yeah, we need to see Sharon versus Burns. That has to happen. It'd just be insane.
Yeah, and possibly Benimaru versus Chrono at some point for no reason.
Cool. Yeah, actually,
because they are
Benimaru 9 showing up in the fifth pillar arc was a big disappointment in my opinion. Yes.
Because when you think about it, like actually looking at it, Karan is just what if Benimaru wasn't secretly a nice guy. They are very similar people in terms of general, like they are basically untouchable superhumans in a land of superhumans.
He's not
and they both really
he may look like a giant beast, but I think inside him is a teddy bear. Yeah.
All right. but I think maybe they'll do something fun with them, especially because Benimaru is kind of locked into the darker world right now, or at least is willing to talk to Joker. We don't know where Giovanni is. I expect he's going to come back. I think maybe we'll get a villain whose solution to the problem of human combustion, the Infernals, is everyone should become a second or third generation. And the weak don't deserve the right to live. Maybe something like that.
That's interesting, yeah.
And again, I don't expect those two people to look like Hinawa and Akitaru to come back. Another problem with Ohkubo, he has a lot of henchmen of the White Hoods that just sort of disappear after the arc's over. And maybe it's the teleporting thing.
Yeah, that's a problem.
And then we've got to figure out what, because there's no evidence. They constantly mention we have no idea who's where, but we see a bunch of them knocked out on the floor. Also, I know this is a weird thing to bring up. What do you think the police look like in this world where everything is run by firefighters and the church runs all the medicine?
Pretty much non-existent.
They've probably got a weird job.
The firefighters are always got guardians of justice in the fire force. So I think the police they don't even exist in fire force.
Yeah.
Because the amount of stuff that Company 8 do that has nothing to do with firefighting at all is quite impressive. Like they've done their what's it? Internal Affairs, not Infernal Affairs. That's a movie and would also be funny for this. They've done Internal Affairs investigations, caught a serial killer, started basically a gang war twice, based under siege, pretty much military action against the preacher or the evangelist or the White Hoods in the Netherworld. They went to China.
Yeah, it just doesn't stop. It's just going to keep them.
They do a bunch of stuff that you would not think falls under their
the job title,
their jurisdiction. So yeah, I think I have said almost everything, and I have barely talked about the anime.
Yeah, we haven't really.
So,
we haven't really. Yeah, if we can talk for
but
this.
we've talked about what we know.
Yeah,
and we can't do much more else unless in the next 3 or 4 days something massive happens, and I'll look like a fool. Whatever. I'll try and get this edited together and spliced on December 5th.
Cool.
So
cool. Yeah.
If you're watching this on December 5th or December 6th, you'll know if I did a good job or not. Anyway, I think we're done for the evening.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll do this again in the future, but for now, thank you both for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And oh boy, that's an extra. Okay. Right. Well, thank you both for coming. Everyone who's listening to this, look forward to the anime. Buy the official release of Fire Force in whichever language is your dominant one. I know that might be behind a bit in France. Are they? Are they behind?
Oh
in
yeah,
France?
they're very much quite behind actually. We've got Volume 9 coming next month actually.
All right.
Yeah.
That's actually surprising because I know France's comic and manga industry is huge.
Yes, it is. It's actually the second largest manga industry behind Japan. But you've got the publisher that got Fire Force. It's actually the second best publisher in France. It's a French Belgian publisher actually. They have Naruto and also a couple of classic mangas and a lot of hit titles. Yeah.
Is it that Editions Canon?
Sorry?
That what it's called? Is it that Editions Canon?
Yes, it's called Kana. Yes,
Yeah.
yes. For them, Fire Force is according to them, is their next Naruto in merchandising.
That's not happening. I'm sorry, Mr. French publisher, but that's not. That's quite absurd.
Yeah.
Or maybe it isn't. I don't know.
I mean, they I've seen them they do a lot of advertisement. Of Fire
they do a
Force.
lot of advertisement in Twitter and if you've seen recently they had made another pack containing the first 5 volumes of Fire Force and the Thermos including. Yes.
Yeah, they did like towel giveaways and like.
Towels. It was in Japan Expo. Yes, yeah. Sorry, I couldn't get a towel. I thought I didn't need one.
Fair enough.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So enough about the French for once. We'll see you next time, or maybe not. But thank you for listening.
Yep.
Thank you for watching. Thank you for reading the series, and maybe try and tell your friends about Fire Force at some point. You'll hear me talk about it a lot more in the future. Because I review 2 volumes at a time, and it is going to be weird that chapter 51 is the end of volume 17, I think, or 18. Never mind. Moving on.
Cool.
Yeah, so anyway, thank you for watching. Thank you for all the help. Sorry, this is a rambling conclusion.
Yeah, but that's
cool.
Okay. Yeah, but that's
all of the light has just gone out of this room. Day has turned to night.
Yeah, it's dark.
But anyway, thank you all for being here. I'll try and get this done quickly. You're both wonderful company, and you have excellent voices, and I don't know why you're not making videos. Anyway,
all right.
Thank you for everyone else watching this. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you very much.
Bye.